Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me about the Helltooth set, and I actually decided to go ahead and build one. Mostly because I saw a lot of potential in the build, and I see potential of it actually obtaining a high level of play or a high level of being able to do a high level tournament. So I went ahead and collected all the pieces. I don't really have the build perfected out just yet, but I just wanted to show the build running in action. Okay, so to start off with, we have, of course, the Thunder Fury. Now, any weapon's perfectly fine. The best in-slot weapon for this build would probably be a Doombringer because he increased physical damage. But, you know, Thunder Fury has good stats. Nothing wrong with that. And it rolled very nicely, so we just go ahead and use that. And then, of course, for the offhand, the Thing at the Deep, that's debatable depending on what you like to do. In the Helltooth set, you eventually want to basically have your helmet open. So you're going to have 5 pieces on your actual character. And then you're going to use the Royal Ring of Grandeur. For those you don't know, it's a ring that you get from Act 1 cash farming, from Tyrio doing the bounties. And it drops from there. It's a cash exclusive legendary for Act 1. What it does is it reduces the cost of all your sets by 1. It doesn't go below 2. So if you have 1 piece of a set item, it won't grant you the 2-piece bonus. You have to have a 2-piece bonus. But if you have 2 pieces of a set item and there's a 3-piece bonus, you put the ring on. The ring counts as getting you part of the set, and it reduces it by 1. So that's the key thing here. You want to get a Royal Ring of Grandeur and, of course, a Stone of Jordan. Physical damage is the premise of this build. All builds pretty much towards the end game are going to pretty much evolve around you using Royal Ring of Grandeur and a Stone of Jordan of different element types. In this situation, we're going to use physical. Alright, so like I said again, our offhand has increased wall zombie damage overall. Damage could be a little bit higher, but it's pretty decent. Has int vitality, has a crit chance, has the damage. That could be a little bit better, but most importantly, it has increased zombie wall damage by 13%. The shoes are pretty much good overall, int, vit, armor, and movement speed, so pretty happy about that. Same thing with the Helltooth leg arts, int, vit, armor, and also, you know, double socket, which is great. For the ring, Stone of Jordan, physical damage 16%, int, attack speed, and also increased damage versus elite. And the Royal Ring of Grandeur is int, vit, attack speed, and critical chance, so we're looking pretty good in terms of toughness. Now I could use a witching hour, or you can kind of use whatever belt you like, or if you have the level 70 witching hour. I kind of like, I haven't got that yet, but I actually like the fleeting strap, and it rolled pretty good stats. Max attack speed, good life percent, okay int, really good vitality, followed by the Helltooth tunic, which is int vitality, all resistance. I would have liked armor on that, but I had a reroll for triple socket, but that's okay. We're also running just a basic physical Ogdal search, 20% more physical, int vitality, and critical chance by 4.5%. Now, one alternative you could do is, in this situation, I could rock the Nemesis bracers with the physical damage, int, crit percent chance, and movement speed. But the reason why I'm running the Ogdal search right now is because I just want a little bit more toughness. Strong arm bracer is also very good because if you ever do a knockback in combination with the set and use offensive lines, it knocks all enemies behind the wall, and then when they come back up to the zombie wall, they'll be taking increased damage. That's one way you can go, but I kind of prefer using Wrecking Crew. Alright, now for, like I said before, the Tasker and Theo, we're just going to go ahead and keep those on because that's actually pretty decent, and it does increase the attack speed of the pets that we're going to generate. Helltooth Mantle, int, armor, you got a couple options. You don't actually always have to roll for the, like, what the set specifically does. And what that means is basically I can just re-roll that to vitality if I really wanted to, but since we're playing at Torment level 3, I do prefer the extra damage. But on a higher level Torment, you actually might consider dropping the zombie wall damage and rolling in more favorable stats that actually keep you surviving. Alright, so we got the helmet, the Mask of Drum, int vitality, crit percent chance socket, very nice. Eventually what we're going to try to do is get a Helltooth glove, swap that in there, take out the Tasker and Theo, and then eventually use the Helm of Jerome, which has the critical, the int, most of the life percent, hopefully on yours too, but for the most part it has 97% extra pet damage, so that's what we're eventually going to be going for. Now for the necklace, it's pretty much up to you. If you use a trifecta int necklace like I have right here on the Golden Gorget of Leorg, which is also found in Act 1 cash farming, that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Now the only way I would switch this necklace out is if I had a physical necklace with int, critical percent chance, and also crit damage. That would be the only way I would actually switch them out for that. But basically, you're either going to have a trifecta with intelligence necklace, or you're going to have a crit percent chance, crit damage, int, and whatever element you're going type of necklace. The reason why we give up attack speed if we do get elemental damage on the necklace is because critical damage on necklace is the only spot where critical damage can roll up to 100%. So to lose out on that, that would be horrible. Not to mention for critical chance, to be 10%, it can only happen on gloves and necklaces. So pretty much for gloves and necklaces, or at least most part for the necklaces, you always want critical chance and critical damage, because both can roll. One can roll 10%, one can roll 100. Gloves, a little bit more debatable. You don't have to necessarily have critical damage on gloves. If you're really in a bind and you have to reroll for one stat, you could actually do attack speed and critical chance. So if you had attack speed on an item already and you wanted to reroll another stat, you would choose critical chance, because critical chance can roll up to 10%, whereas crit damage can only roll 50. Alright, so anyways, so we got the whole complete set. We have the Mask of Drum, the Helltooth mantle, the chest, the shoes, the pants, all that good stuff. Now for the actual skills, we're using Vampire Bats, and this is just strictly to generate the Fetish Psychopaths, which are going to be physical. Fire Bats works really good with Wall of Zombies. It's going to spew out acid since we have the 6-piece set, and then also we have it with Wrecking Crew, so it also taunts the monsters onto it. Zombie Wall is really good. It taunts all the enemies onto it if you choose Wrecking Crew, which means we don't have to worry about trash mobs, whether it's Torment level 3 or Torment level 6. As long as we got that Zombie Wall down, it's going to taunt all the monsters. Now, since we got the set, it's going to reduce it from 8 seconds down to 6 seconds, and in combination with Grave Injustice, all you have to do is kill 2 enemies to reduce the cooldown of it, basically so you can cast another Zombie Wall by the time it fades out. Now, sometimes you'll even be able to get multiple Zombie Walls out, but you always have to remember, when you're using the Helltooth set, the Zombie Wall, it doesn't stack, or the acid animation, it doesn't stack on top of each other. So if I had, let's say, 3 Zombie Wall down, they're not going to actually, the acid damage is not going to stack up. It just, basically, if there's already acid in the area, that's it. So don't try to always cast your Zombie Walls in the same spot. You'll kind of hurt yourself. Anyways, Spirit Walk with Jaunt. Sometimes I like to use John, sometimes I like to use Honored Guest. Sometimes when you're actually chanting Fire Bats, you need to throw down another Zombie Wall that breaks channeling. You lose mana, and then sometimes that might happen a couple times occurrence in a row, or Elite might knock you back, and then you might be low on mana. So I like to use Jaunt, but sometimes if I get annoyed, I'll actually use Honored Guest just to get back a little bit of mana, just in case if I do get knocked around while I'm channeling Fire Bats. Alright, so for defensive, we're going to use Leeching Beast. Now at higher level Torments, we might switch this out for Paranoia or something more tangible, or we might even keep them at a high level Torment, but for the most part, this level, all the way up to probably 5, you can actually get away with the Zombie Dogs, and we have a pretty good toughness, so they should be okay. Gargantuan is Wrathful Protector, and Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance. So the reason why we have these two is just because these are our elite killers. In every single build, you want to have something that can kill trash really well, something that can kill elites really well, and bosses, mobility, and survivability. So our mobility is a Spirit Walk, our trash clear is Zombie Walls and Fire Bats. So our Zombie Walls can also help us out on bosses and, you know, basically provide us safety and survivability, because all the monsters are either going to be blocked by the wall or they're going to be taunted by it, so that gives us survivability. And along with the Leeching Beast, Wrathful Protector, Slam Dance, Big Bad Voodoo, that's just to kill elites, so we're looking pretty good on that front. Now we're running Fetish Psychopaths because we have a pretty good attack speed, Fire Bats, Pierce the Veil for extra damage, Grave Injustice to help with the cooldown, and Midnight Feast. Now the only thing I could possibly change out a higher level is I might actually end up switching out Grave Injustice for Spirit Vessel, or I might actually take down the Midnight Feast, but we don't necessarily want to do that because Gargantuan is affected by that really well. But I will be making another video in the future when I actually get a couple more pieces and I can run this in T6, and I'll let you guys know what conclusion I came down to. Now the most important stats for the Helltooth set, well, critical percent chance and critical damage always fetch your pet, so having a high critical chance and high critical damage is good. Overall though, you want to balance it. I wouldn't try to go past 55%. 50% is probably the lowest I want to do for critical chance, and how much ever critical damage you could fit in the build within reason. The build utilizes physical damage, and also you want to have a decent amount of attack speed, because whenever you're using Fire Bats to generate fetishes, the more attack speed you have, the more fetishes you make. So we want to make sure we have a high attack speed for that. All right. So overall, if you look at our details here, our armor has about 68% mitigation, so we have a pretty good. We don't have to worry too much about that, so that will keep us really safe. As you can see, all our different resistances are over the 1K mark, so we're doing pretty good in that regards. Okay, critical damage. 40 to 100% will be real nice, but we're not greedy because we're just trying to balance everything out. 2.19 attack speed is really, really, really good. And we have just a little bit of life on hit, not too much, just to keep us alive in tough situations because we have leeching dogs. Okay, I also like to keep a Sunkeeper inside of my inventory. Now, before you shred my bones, the reason why I have a ruby in it is because I'm getting pretty cheap now because I'm running low on gold and I hate taking it out for the emeralds, and I hate looking at it for having like an empty socket, so I just jam the ruby in there. Normally, you want to go ahead and have critical damage. Anyways, so you guys see the gear that we have. You see the stats that we have. You saw the skills that we have. And the only thing left to show you is my Paragon. I put everything into intelligence, except for a couple points of movement speed. Actually, let me check that right now. For my movement speed is 24%, so that's perfect. Just enough to get 20% or higher. That's fine. I really could drop 4% off this and actually put more into intelligence, but 20% or higher movement speed is really good. Now, if you go inside the offensive tree, I have attack speed because we're using fire bats, and number one is we want to generate as many fetishes as possible. Critical chance of 5% because we were running kind of low, and we already have a pretty much good amount of critical damage, so it doesn't hurt us too much to only have 25% here. In defense, I'm running armor and all res, and then I'm finally getting life percent, and then of course in utility we got resource cost reduction, life on hit, area damage. Now, one thing I will say, if you actually would like to run a little bit of cooldown reduction because maybe you have too much toughness, having a little bit of cooldown reduction in the build, it's nothing wrong with that. Or even if you wanted to take attack speed and cooldown reduction and put the remaining points in critical chance. I don't know what level Paragon you are, but I'm about 501 right now. So the nice thing about having a little bit of cooldown reduction, it makes the zombie wall a little bit more spammable, and you could turn that. The lowest I ever got it to was 3 seconds, but that was stacking a lot of cooldown reduction. I scaled it back a little bit and focused more on just having the zombie wall up every time it finishes. But I mean, you can get it down to 4 seconds and without the grave injustice, and then you can just basically keep casting zombie wall over and over again if you'd like to get a little bit of how do you say, cooldown reduction. Getting it on the helm, getting it in Paragon is usually more than enough, but for the most part, we're not going to worry too much about that. We want to focus more on basically our damage output and survivability. Okay, so let's go and get the build in action. We're going to go ahead and open up the Rift, and we're going to run in. Now, when using this build, what you're basically going to be doing for the most part is just right-clicking, using zombie wall, and then fire batting everything down. So we're going to go ahead and summon our zombie dogs. Remember, Gargantuan and Big Bad Voodoo is only for elites. And we have our Enchantress out because she increases our attack speed. And we got our first elite up, so we're just going to go ahead and drop Big Bad Voodoo with the Gargantuan. And as you can see, everything is getting melted down pretty well. And we just keep the zombie walls up constantly. It's a free spell. We don't have that much to worry about. It's basically there to help block the elites and also taunt the trash mobs. So I'll back up a little bit, recast the zombie wall, and it's spewing out the acid. And since we have good toughness, we don't have to worry about too much. The fetishes are actually smashing down the elite. So even though our Gargantuan's off of cooldown or on cooldown, they were actually able to handle everything else. Now, normally I would be picking up the stuff, but for the most part, for the video that I'm making, we're just going to go ahead and keep rolling. So you zombie wall, you fire bat everything down, you get an elite, you resummon out your Gargantuan, and you just use your zombie wall to position yourself between you and the mob. And then since you kill a couple monsters, you can usually keep the zombie wall consistently. You have Spirit Walk to get yourself away. And basically, behind the zombie wall, any trash monsters that get to it will be taunted. And not to mention, it does spew out that acid damage. And between the Gargantuan and the fetishes, they'll actually be able to go out and handle and take care of whatever business you have to in terms of dealing with elites or in trash mob. So pretty much we're just going to roll through the environment using the zombie wall and the fire bats combination. And I mean, that's pretty much what the building entices to. At higher level tournaments, it will make trash killing a lot easy. The only thing you might have to watch out for is some really ambitious, like, you know, mobs and what have you not. But pretty much if they walk anywhere in the proximity of the zombie wall, or even if you got to cast it upon yourself, they get taunted. So as you saw those monsters, they couldn't really do anything else because by the time anything happened, you know, they're already dead or they're already being taunted by the zombie wall. And then, of course, all we need to do is kill, you know, a couple of monsters to reset the timer on it. Sometimes you might even cast zombie wall on top yourself to avoid damage coming in, or you might be in a group on torment level 6 or higher level torments, and your job might just to be keep the trash line in order, because sometimes trash mobs can be kind of nutty. Now, some monsters, like worms and other Pacific kind of, you would figure, regular trash monsters, aren't affected by zombie wall. But they will automatically tell you, like, immune or something like that, and then you can just make a mental note, okay, well, this creature can't be taunted by the zombie wall. It's a pretty laid-back playstyle. You don't really have to worry too much about it. And like even right now, I get a couple enemies on me. I just drop the zombie wall on top myself. And then once you drop a couple zombie walls on top of yourself, all the enemies get pretty much taunted toward that location. You don't really have to worry about anything. So if I do run into problems, drop a couple zombie walls on top of myself, the monsters get taunted, and then I just got to basically fire bat everything down. Now, one thing I've been thinking about for the build is I really don't need to run a Thing of the Deep because I'm always so close, but I don't know, I might want to fall back upon that at higher level torments. But I mean, Thing of Deep is probably one of the best overall Witch Doctor offhands outside of the Zunimasa one to get your set bonuses so you can get your fetishes out permanently. So we got another elite where you summon the big, well, you pretty much died already. We summoned the Gargantuan and the Big Bad Voodoo. And like I said, if you like to actually opt more for cooldown reduction, especially that probably would help on higher level torment, so you can keep him on constant cooldown reduction or keep him off the cooldown. That would actually work quite well. But for the most part, once we get our Massacre Drum or Helltooth gloves, we'll be able to actually sit back and maybe just generate fetishes from afar, let the fetishes run in, and with the increased pet damage, just take down the elites. Also, if you're having some problems on higher level torments, you can also just simply switch to the Sunkeeper, and that will do initial damage or extra damage to the elites. The main reason why I was just basically messing around with Helltooth, and I know a lot of people say, well, it's not a great set. I'm like, I try to tell people it's maybe not on the same level as Jade or Drum or Carnival build or something along that line, but there might be somebody out there who just is waiting to get his last couple pieces for his Jade set, or maybe he's a newcomer, maybe he gets lucky and he gets Helltooth. And in my natural occurrence, I've seen way more Helltooth drops than I have seen Zunimasa or other Pacific pieces. So what this does is just allow somebody to use the Helltooth set, figure it out, and they can actually just use this set until they get, you know, their physical set going, or until they get their Massacre, you know, Drum and get their Tasker and Theo. There's nothing wrong with running the Helltooth set. You know, I think most of the sets in game, they're all pretty much, you can get them up to the point that they can do T6, maybe not at the same level as all the other ones, but they can at least roll through it and do it at a good rate, or at least, you know, do Torment level 5. Now, like I said, it's not the greatest set of the whole Witch Doctor arsenal, but I mean, in terms of getting the pieces, it's not too hard or not too bad, and the play is pretty much straightforward. I mean, you're using your zombie wall to taunt most of the trash mobs. You got your Gargantuan with your Big Bad Voodoo to deal with all the elites and what have you not. Helltooth set usually rolls some pretty nice tanky stats, and it's a very simple build just to play. And you see, I got a good amount of fetishes out. I got my zombie dogs out, and everything's just rolling pretty steady. Now, I'm not running through all this at breakneck speed, but, you know, this is Torment level 3, and we're doing okay. The 2-piece set for Helltooth is pretty nice as well, too, if you just want to simply just get that extra intelligence boost. The 4-piece set is really nice as well, in case you don't want to go 6-piece set. If you happen to have 3 nice pieces of Helltooth, then you can start utilizing Zombie Wall at the low cooldown. And you don't necessarily have to worry about it in terms of damage. You could just you could use it as a utility spell, so you can keep those monsters taunted, because once you get that cooldown reduction and once you get that zombie wall on your skill bar and you start using it, it really allows you to control the pace of the trash mobs and a lot of different mobs in rifts and different things that happen, because often and not in rifts, sometimes you'll just get bombarded by a large amount of trash monsters. So ooh, a ceremonial knife. And while your party's about to get hoarded, you drop a zombie wall, everything gets taunted, it averts everybody from taking a lot of damage and what have you not. And I think that's a Gibbeton. Well, Gibbetons are okay, they roll pretty decently, but I'm not too much of a big fan of them. Now, if they produce regular kind of passive fetishes, I would be all for that weapon, but hopefully Blizzard in the future, they'll go ahead and change that weapon. Alright, so we're getting close to the Rift boss, but it's got to kill a couple more monsters. And we're just getting stuff done. The Thunder Fury does trigger the Fire Bats and also the cast on Zombie Wall. So if you have a Thunder Fury and you cast a Zombie Wall, it can and will trigger the Thunder Fury. So that's also a nice little bonus too. And then, you know, as well, Zombie Wall doesn't cost any mana. So that actually, let me make sure that, kind of crazy when I say that. Yeah, I always think everything costs mana. It doesn't cost mana. Now, one interesting thing about the Helltooth set, if you actually have a old school Saj, a legacy Saj that actually has reduction to Zombie Wall, you can get a zero cooldown Zombie Wall build going on. Unfortunately, I didn't save any type of rings like that. But if you actually do have that, you can spam the living crap out of it. And at that point, the only thing that's going to stop you from spamming a lot of them out is how fast your attack speed is. Because once you get a zero cooldown spell like Zombie Walls, you can cast it. The only thing that can really improve it, like in terms of getting the most damage out of it, would be just attack speed, because the more attack speed you had, the more zombie walls you can have out. I heard of a couple witch doctors out there who had this item. I wish I would have known about that sooner. I definitely would have bought one off the auction house before it closed. Maybe I could still find somebody that has one, but how am I going to trade them for that? I'll have to figure something out. Maybe I can just run them through some dungeons and give them all my legendaries, but I'm still on an epic quest to find it, because I'd really like to experiment with the zero zombie wall cooldown. And then just see where it can take me and what happens. Alright. Now, what I'm going to be trying to do in the next week and a half, and I'll release another videos when I'm doing T6, I'm trying to get a Doombringer, which increases physical damage, which is good for this build. And I'm also trying to get the, like I said before, the Helltooth gloves, so I can wear a Mask of Drum. I got one with 97% extra pet damage, and I'm really looking forward to that. Now, also on T6, I might actually drop the Fire Bats, and I might go with Medusa Spiders for the slow, but I don't think it will be necessary. But we'll just have to figure out a way to deal with the elites when we come to them on Torment level 6, because it's not so much the trash that's bad on high level tournaments. It's, in all honesty, it's the how do you say, the elites that cause a problem. But if you have a decent amount of elite damage from Sages and what have you not, you have an Ogdil Authority with the bracers, that's really nice. Or if you have like a two-piece Blackthorns, when you get that elite damage in there, they usually die no problem. Now, unfortunately, in this set, you won't be able to run Ogdil's Authority for the most part, but at least we can go ahead and keep a Sunkeeper inside of our inventory and deal with anything that comes our way. In terms of elites, we get to elite, we swap to that, you know, kill the elite, then swap back to our Thunder Fury or our Doombringer or whatever the weapon that we're using. Alright, and he's down. A couple more kills until the rip-off comes out. And it's pretty much textbook with this build. You see a trash mob, you cast Zombie Wall, you fire bat it down, you generate fetishes. Your fetishes are pretty much to help you fight in battle, but for the most part, the fetishes and the Raffle Protector, like I said, and the Big Bad Voodoo is to kill the elites for you. And since you're going physical with this build, because the Zombie Wall damage is affected by physical, not poison, because we tested that out, you know, it's nice to kind of hybrid it in with the pet build. Now, some people will say, well, why would I go this pet build with a Helltooth set instead of just simply just going a normal Masker, Jerome, Tasker, and Theo kind of build? Well, the Helltooth set, the nice thing about it is that it brings utility, whereas other pet builds, they don't really have that much utility with the Zombie Wall. It's very good. It does good damage. It adds the extra acid damage as physical, and it just saves. It's, for me at least, it brings me like another level of security, because while I'm farming these monsters or going against them, I never have to really worry about them coming at me, because I got the Zombie Wall that can taunt. If I'm in a group or I'm in a rift setting, the other day when I was playing, you know, we got kind of hammered down by a lot of trash mobs. I drop one Zombie Wall, they're all taunted, and they're not hitting the wizard, or they're not running off and, you know, terrorizing the other witch doctor that's in the group. Just by having that Zombie Wall, you just really kind of provide a little bit more stability to the group. Just like with the Sarmano Kokori build with the Big Bad Voodoo, you provide more DPS so you can get things down a lot quicker. So now we got a Rift Boss. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my Sunkeeper. And then we're going to go ahead and pop Gargantuan in the Big Bad Voodoo. And Zombie Wall 2 for extra damage. And now we're just going to melt everything down. And he is down. Alright, so we made a pretty good run of it. No Forgotten Soul, but that's okay. Hopefully this explains and sheds a little bit more life on the Helltooth set, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be making a part 2 for this video down the line when I actually do get to Torment level 6 and I get the Masker Jerome, which I already have in my inventory, but most importantly, I need the Helltooth and I need a Doombringer. And then I'll go ahead and update you guys and let you guys know about how it goes and how it's doing at T6. So, hope you guys enjoyed the Helltooth tutorial video. My name is Debo. I'm out.